Well, good evening, and welcome to this healing service at First Church of Christ Scientists in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's open by singing hymn 542, O life that maketh all things new, the blooming earth, the thoughts of men, our pilgrim feet wet with thy dew, in gladness hither turn again. Hymn 542.
Connecting for some reason. You want me just to play it? My Bluetooth got disconnected and it won't reconnect. It's just. Yeah, well, for the phone, I already tested it and it was okay. That's charging. Yep. It's just spinning, but I got it connected. No, it's not connecting. I'm just playing on my speaker. On my speaker. Let's see this one. I'm gonna try and connect it.
That's fine. Just put it on the speaker.
O life that maketh all things new, the blooming earth, the thoughts of men, our pilgrim feet wet with your dew, in gladness hither turn again. From hand to hand the greeting flows, from eye to of the lighter one. One in the freedom of the truth, one in the joy of paths untrod, one in the heart's perennial youth, one in the larger thought of God. The freer step, the fuller breath, the wide horizon's grander view, the sense of life that knows no death, the life that maketh all things new.
I'll be reading from the Bible in the Christian Science textbook, but first from the Bible, Psalms. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. Exodus. And God spake all these words, saying, Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Leviticus. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Jeremiah. Run ye to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem, and see now and know, and seek in the broad places thereof, if ye can find a man, if there be any that executeth judgment, that seeketh the truth, and I will pardon it. And though they say, The Lord liveth, surely they swear falsely. O Lord, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Jonah. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. And Jonah rose up to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa. And he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it, to go with them unto Tarshish, from the presence of the Lord. And there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Then the mariners were afraid, and cried every man unto his God, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten it of them. But Jonah was gone down into the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep. So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God. if so be that God will think upon us, that we perish not. And they said, every one to his fellow, Come, and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. Then said they unto him, What shall we do unto thee, that the sea may be calm unto us? For the sea wrought and was tempestuous. And he said unto them, Take me up, and cast me forth into the sea, so shall the sea be calm unto you. For I know that for my sake this great tempest is upon you. So they took up Jonah and cast him forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly, and he heard me. I will sacrifice unto thee with a voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land. And the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go unto Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching that I bid thee. So Jonah arose and went unto Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Matthew. Again, ye have heard that it hath been said by them of old time, Thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto the Lord thine oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, even by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. They that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? And Jesus beheld his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said. Nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Now Peter sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, thou also wast with Jesus of Nazareth of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said unto them that were there, This fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said unto him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly. Galatians. Now the things which I write unto you, behold, before God, I lie not. Mark. They went into Capernaum, and straightway on the Sabbath day he entered into the synagogue and taught. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one that had authority, and not as the scribes. And there was in their synagogue a man with an unclean spirit, and he cried out, saying, Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee, who thou art, the Holy One of God. And Jesus rebuked him, saying, Hold thy peace, and come out of him. And when the unclean spirit had torn him, and cried with a loud voice, he came out of him. And they were all amazed, insomuch that they questioned among themselves, saying, What thing is this? What new doctrine is this? For with authority commandeth he even the unclean spirits, and they do obey him. And immediately his fame spread abroad throughout all the region round about Galilee. And Jesus went out and his disciples into the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others one of the prophets. And he saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Peter answereth and saith unto him, Thou art the Christ. Revelation. And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven saying, Alleluia! Salvation and glory and honor and power unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgments. And a voice came out of the throne, saying, Praise our God, all ye his servants, and ye that fear him. And I heard, as it were, the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Alleluia, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. 1 John. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God love his brother also. Now I shall also read from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. To keep the commandments of our Master and follow his example is our proper debt to him and the only worthy evidence of our gratitude for all that he has done. Outward worship is not of itself sufficient to express loyal and heartfelt gratitude, since he has said, if ye love me, keep my commandments. The habitual struggle to be always good is unceasing prayer. Its motives are made manifest in the blessings they bring, blessings which, even if not acknowledged in audible words, attest our worthiness to be partakers of love. Simply asking that we may love God will never make us love him, but the longing to be better and holier, expressed in daily watchfulness and in striving to assimilate more of the divine character, will mold and fashion us anew until we awake in his likeness. Whatever materializes worship hinders man's spiritual growth and keeps him from demonstrating his power over error. Obedience to material law prevents full obedience to spiritual law, the law which overcomes material conditions and puts matter under the feet of mind. To reach the heights of Christian Science, man must live in obedience to its divine principle. To develop the full might of this science, the discords of corporeal sense must yield to the harmony of spiritual sense, even as the science of music corrects false tones and gives sweet concord to sound. Let us be faithful in pointing the way through Christ as we understand it. The teacher must make clear to students the science of healing, especially its ethics, that all is mind, and that the scientist must conform to God's requirements. Teach the great possibilities of man endued with divine science. Teach the meekness and might of life hid with Christ in God, and there will be no desire for other healing methods. You render the divine law of healing obscure and void when you weigh the human in the scale with the divine, or limit in any direction of thought the omnipresence and omnipotence of God. The human will, which maketh and worketh a lie, hiding the divine principle of harmony, is destructive to health and is the cause of disease rather than its cure. There is great danger in teaching mind healing indiscriminately, thus disregarding the morals of the student and caring only for the fees. Whoever practices the science the author teaches, through which mind pours light and healing upon this generation, can practice on no one from sinister or malicious motives. Good must dominate in the thoughts of the healer, or his demonstration is protracted, dangerous, and impossible in science. A wrong motive involves defeat. In the science of mind healing, it is imperative to be honest, for victory rests on the side of immutable right. To understand God strengthens hope, enthrones faith in truth, and verifies Jesus' words, "Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world." Asking God to be God is a vain repetition. God is the same yesterday and today and forever. He who is immutably right will do right without being reminded of his province. Are we to believe an authority which denies God's spiritual command relating to perfection, an authority which Jesus proved to be false? He did the will of the Father. He healed sickness in defiance of what is called material law, but in accordance with God's law, the law of mind. Our Master healed the sick, practiced Christian healing, and taught the generalities of its divine principle to his students. But he left no definite rule for demonstrating this principle of healing and preventing disease. This rule remained to be discovered in Christian Science. A pure affection takes form in goodness, but science alone reveals the divine principle of goodness and demonstrates its rules. What is God? God is incorporeal, divine, supreme, infinite mind, spirit, soul, principle, life, truth, love. Are these terms synonymous? They are. They refer to one absolute God. They are also intended to express the nature, essence, and wholeness of deity. Is there more than one God or principle? There is not. Principle and its idea is one, and this one is God, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent being, and his reflection is man and the universe. Hence, God combines all power or potency, all science or true knowledge, all presence. The varied manifestations of Christian Science indicate mind, never matter, and have one principle. The first demand of this science is, Thou shalt have no other gods before me. It should be thoroughly understood that all men have one mind, one God and Father, one life, truth, and love. Mankind will become perfect in proportion as this fact becomes apparent. War will cease, and the true brotherhood of man will be established. Having no other gods, turning to no other but the one perfect mind to guide him, man is the likeness of God, pure and eternal, having that mind which was also in Christ. Let's have a few moments of silent prayer, followed by the audible repetition of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Let's turn to our great hymnal and sing hymn 438. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. Hymn 438. Well, again, welcome. And thank you for being with us this evening, whether you're here in church, online, on YouTube, or joining us now on Zoom. As a branch of the First Church of Christ Scientists in Boston, Massachusetts, we join the global community of Christian Science churches today to express gratitude for the blessings that have come through prayer. Everyone is lovingly invited to join us for the Sunday service held at 10:30 a.m. Classes for young people to the age of 20 are held at the same time in our Sunday school. Please visit our reading room at the west end of this building. This is a quiet place for study and provides access to a library of Christian Science literature. Our reading room hours for August will be Tuesdays and Fridays, 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Every Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m., we meet to hear readings from the Bible and the Christian Science textbook, and participants share healings, experiences, and the abundant blessings of an enlightened understanding of our Creator. We are happy to announce the addition of online streaming of the Wednesday service through our new YouTube channel at FCCS Indy. During this transition to include an online option, our conference phone line is also still available. For those of you joining on YouTube, please use the Zoom meeting link included in the event details for the opportunity to share. Zoom participants are muted upon entry, so please unmute yourself when you are prepared to speak. Our virtual usher can assist you in the chat if needed. This meeting is now open for experiences, testimonies, and remarks on Christian Science.
Just wanted to thank you for your readings this evening. I liked the idea, or the story, I should say, about how they denied Christ. They were saying, "Well, I don't know him. I have no idea who you're talking about." And then in Science and Health, we were talking about one mind, and you cannot deny one mind. One mind is one mind, and we're all encompassed by it at all times. And I'm reminded of on Monday, or maybe it was, I guess, sorry, my days get run together, but I guess it was actually yesterday. There was a man who came in to the hospital, and his son was in an ATV accident. And he was handing out these little statues of Jesus, and it said, "I love you" on it. And he asked me if I wanted one. And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. We'll put it right up here on top of our weapons detection machine." And so we taped a little Jesus that says, "I love you" on top of our weapons detection machine, which the benefits of working in a Christian-oriented hospital, it's kind of fun. Nobody complained, which was nice. But that man came out later, and for whatever reason, and once again, one mind governing man, he asked me to pray for him and to pray for his son because he was afraid. And he said that he was a pastor at a church. He said he was a volunteer minister at his church, but he just, for whatever reason, walked up to me and said, "I felt compelled to ask you for help or for prayer." And I stood up and I said, "Well, sir, I am a Christian Scientist, and I would like to share some words with you, if that's okay." And he said, I really could use that right now. And I said, "We believe that no one is outside of God's love, and that includes your son right now. Your son is wrapped in the loving arms of God, and he is protected, and he will remain protected." And I shared the 91st Psalm with him and the 23rd Psalm, which are some of my favorite Psalms, which go back to my Sunday school days. I remember there was weeks upon weeks where all we did for Sunday school was talk about the 91st Psalm and what that entails. And I was sharing this with him, and he just he just said, "I really appreciate you sharing that with me." And I said, it's not a problem, sir. He goes, "You didn't have to do that." He said, "I see you're a policeman. You don't have to do that." And I said, "No, I don't. But, we are all brothers and sisters in Christ. And you asked me for help. I should not, in a Christ-like fashion, I should help you if I can." And he started getting a little teary-eyed. And he said, I appreciate you so much. And I want, I want you to keep that Jesus that I gave you." And I said, "Oh, I definitely will." I said, I can't take it away because you gave it to the station, so it will stay at the station. This Jesus will stay at this station and will greet many people coming in and out of this door. And this Jesus will tell people that he loves him, that he loves them. And he thought that that was pretty cool. And so I'm grateful for the lesson tonight that just seemed to hit on all of those things that I've already experienced this week. And I also know that the Wednesdays have been surrounding commandments, but I also love the fact that we have the commandments in this, a couple of the commandments this week in our lesson. And so every Wednesday is a great Wednesday to be here, but it just feels so good to be able to practically apply and hear what I've been dealing with in the week on a Wednesday. And so I'm just infinitely grateful for this church, for our membership, for these testimony meetings. Just grateful for all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the idea of Jesus asking the disciples, "Whom do you say that I am?" And Peter did answer, "Thou art the Christ." I don't know if that was before or after his denial 3 times, but he did finally, I think, admit and love Jesus. And I think Peter was one of his favorites. The other thing with the story of Jonah, I was thinking, was wondering, was there a time that I decided to not go to Nineveh? We all have those moments, I think, where we're listening and hearing where we should go and do one thing, but this sounded better. And we find out eventually that sometimes it wasn't better. I was remembering a time back in my 20s, and I probably shared this before, but I had decided to go out with friends dancing and in a snowstorm. Well, I knew that was not a right idea, but I went anyway. And on the way home, through all the curvy roads along the river, the snow had blown and blew the curbs clearly shut. And I could only drive so far. Well, I only had, dress boots on, a leather coat, I don't know if I had a hat and gloves. And it was blowing and snowing. And I thought, well, I can either sit here with the car running. Was that a good idea? No, that didn't seem like a good idea. And I was probably, close to a mile from home yet. No cars on the road. And I thought, well, I'm going to get out and put my hand in God's hand and I'm going to go. And I just prayed the whole way, just trudging through the knee-deep snow, and my feet were very cold. I was very cold, and I just kept my thought on God, and I, knew that I did a silly thing. Well, I did eventually make it all the way home walking in the snow and the snow drifts and the blowing wind, and it was very, very treacherous. I was so grateful when I got home. I thought it was just God's hand that guided me and led me home safely. So I often think of that, when I think of Jonah, and are we listening to God tell us the right thing? Are we going to make the right choices? Are we going to do the right thing? So I'm grateful that God has always been there to protect me and watch over me. I've been grateful for the 91st Psalm too, several times. Very grateful for protection. Driving on the road when the boys were very young and getting caught between semis and other things, and just being able to get off to the side of the road and protected. Used and prayed with the 91st Psalm when my grandmother was in the hospital. They had taken her from the rest home, and they called us because they really didn't believe that she was going to make it. But We got there and we said the 91st Psalm. We sang some hymns with her, my mom and I, and she just turned right around. She turned right around and she was able to go back to her rest home room the next day, I think it was. Just been so grateful for the good that comes through that psalm and how it has protected me and my loved ones through the years. So I'm grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful for Christian Science and all the good that God brings to our lives through Mrs. Eddy's understanding of this science. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the readings, and thank you for the prior testimonies I've enjoyed. I'd like to express gratitude for this idea that was expressed earlier of one mind. We have an investment here in Florida that building became vacant this past Friday. The lease was up and we had noticed that they were going to be leaving. About a month ago, I put a sign not on the property, but next to the entrance to get to the property. And occasionally I had a call, but nothing worked out. So they moved out on Friday. And Sunday afternoon, I was in my home and I received a call. Lady was asking about, I saw your sign and we drove by the property and it's very close to our home. We'd like to take a look at it. This was Sunday afternoon. I usually when we make an appointment on Sunday, she said we live about a half mile away, and I said, I live about a mile and a half away. If you don't object to meeting on Sunday, I'll be happy to show it to you. Which worked out. They got to the property sooner than I, because I was, miles farther down the road. But what I am sharing is that she told me during that Sunday afternoon that she prayed that God would provide a place for their business. And she said, I asked my husband, did you hear me pray that? He said, no. But she said, I must have just been praying to myself. Before they left the house, I learned later that they had prayed that God would guide and direct them. And when they got there before me, they were in their car. I learned afterward that they were praying in the car for guidance and direction. But what I'm so grateful about, this was my first meeting with them. I never met them. Showed them the property. We talked for probably 15 minutes. And they said, we'd like to lease it. I said, I can have a lease for you tomorrow. That was Monday. Today's Wednesday. So this building had been leased for about 4 years. We've never had a vacancy in it. And to think that within 2 days, from Friday to Sunday, there was a decision that they would lease it. I'm so very grateful that God was directing and guiding both of us. And needs were met. We had a vacant building that they needed. They wanted to expand their business to a place closer to home. And they're in the process now of moving in. I'm so very grateful for the idea of this one mind directing and guiding, and as divine love does, mind meets our needs as well. Because mind and love are both synonyms for God in Christian Science. I thank you for listening, and I'm grateful to be with you this evening.
Thank you. We're grateful you're with us too. Could someone tell me the time? Oh. Well, thank you for the testimonies this evening and for all your sharing. Good to hear from everyone. Let's close by singing hymn 474. I'll read the second verse. Come we daily then, dear Father, open hearts and willing hands, eager ears, expectant, joyful, ready for your right commands. We would hear no other voices. We would heed no other call. You alone are good and gracious. You, our mind, and you, our all. Hymn 474.
Keep us ever in your love.